Hello everyone. In this video, I want to show you that building your own house is not as hard as it may seem. It's tough, but it's not possible. The main problem is usually in a man's head. Of course, I'm not saying you must do everything yourself, especially if, for example, you earn 2 or 3 times more per hour than a professional builder. But even if we talk about building a house by yourself, it's still possible. I went through this myself, so you can do it too.
Build a house with your own hands? Are you crazy? Did you escape from a mental hospital?
Obviously, there are some jobs you won't be able to do your own, but that's not the point. The main problem is in your head. It's the fear of unknown. Electrical wiring? People study for this years. Water supply? People study this for years. Heating system? The same story. And so on and so on and so on. Maybe some of you feel annoyed and think,
Listen, if I do everything myself, this construction will last forever. Because I also work and I only have a couple of days off at the end of the week.
first, I will say that building your own house never really ends, and this is a life rule of construction. And second, the path of man is suffering on the way to his dreams and goals. But I agree with you in one thing. Every specialist should do their own job. So, the goal of this video is not to make you a professional in every area of construction, but to explain the stages of each step of building a house, to remove fear when you think about building your own house. And, of course, no one can trick you at every stage when dishonest builders earn not on quality, but by forcing extra work and rising material prices. So, let's start. We, for example, have a house like this. Nothing complicated and without any special designers ideas like rock walls from Scandinavian fjords under natural soil and things like that. The most important thing at this stage is to understand the amount of work, the house plan and the plan of all engineering system. The first stage is... no, not the foundation. It is the land, or more exactly, the location of the plot, because the plot can be sold at a very attractive price or be in a great place. But here's the problem: such plots do not always have access to infrastructure. For example, if water and sewage can be sold with the well and septic tank, in questions of gas and electricity, it can become a problem. Of course, when you have money, there are no problems. But will you really want to pay for designing and installing electricity from your own pocket? In the end, all this infrastructure does not even belong to you, and later your neighbor will just pay for connection because it already exists. And in general, if there is a pole with wires, it does not mean there is enough power for your house. So the first stage of construction is finding a normal plot. First, availability of infrastructure: electricity, gas, roads. Second, legal status of the land: who owns it, what kind of property it is, and could railways appear on it after 10 years. Next, geology: soil quality, water level, and if the ground is polluted, maybe it was an industrial area 50 years ago. The second stage in this video is the foundation. At first, it looks difficult. Such a big amount of work, lots of people, big concrete trucks. But despite how big it looks, everything can be divided into preparing the site, digging trenches for pouring, reinforcement, plus insulation, plus drainage, installing the formwork, pouring the concrete, and waiting until the concrete hardness, watering it from time to time. The third stage is building the walls. In my opinion, this is the easiest stage building a house. Even though at first it looks hard, because here the whole house is actually being built, but in reality it is done very fast. If we talk about materials like aerated concrete blocks or similar ones, and with some systems you can build everything in a couple of days. The most important thing here is to watch the straightness of the walls, because a little tilt of a few centimeters at the bottom can turn into 30 to 50 centimeters at the top. The fourth stage is the roof. This is a very important stage, because many mistakes here can ruin the whole house. For example, wrong wood treatment or wrong water and vapor insulation can cause bad air circulation and simply higher humidity in the house. This leads to mold and wall damage. And I am talking about stone houses. If you make such mistakes in a wooden frame house, you can just throw it away. And if you make a mistake installing the roof covering, sooner or later you will have leaks. And you will need to change all insulation, which means destroying the inside finishing interior. The fifth stage is windows and doors. Everything clear here. The only thing that can surprise you is the price. When you calculate it, you might say,
What? This costs like half of the foundation.
Surprise, motherfucker!
but yeah, this is true of life. The sixth stage is interior and exterior finishing. First rough finishing, then installation of engineering systems, and then final finishing like tiles, floors, painting and decoration. Now about engineering system. This is the seventh stage. After rough finishing, the water supply, heating and electrical systems are installed. This is a very important stage because it's basically the nervous system of the house. If something is installed wrong, future problems can lead to full or partial failure of the house systems. For example, a wrong water system calculation can break the heating system, and so on and so on. The eighth stage is the interior, the most dangerous one. Here your wife or girlfriend appears, because at this stage the price of the kitchen, furniture, bathrooms, wardrobes, lights and decor can easily become higher than all previous stages. And if you don't control it, it became 2 or 3 times higher than everything before. The ninth stage is putting the house into operation. In reality, you can start this earlier, because at this stage nothing depends on you anymore. Everything goes through administration and bureaucratical terms, and it can take many months. The 10th stage is landscaping. This means the area around the house. And based on my experience, by this stage all the money is gone, and the only wish of man finish the suffering of building a house. So everything usually ends with a simple flat lawn. But, once again based on my experience, you will save money on fences and gates by choosing the cheapest option just to finally finish everything. But again, the life rule of building a private house never change.
私の名は吉来義景、年齢33歳。自宅は森王町北東部の別荘地帯にあり、結婚はしていない。
That's all from me. Thanks for watching and good luck.